Hello everyone, I am Bets Golden. Thank you so much for joining me today. My friend Vanessa Buzzard, who is on the Stamps of Life design team, created a really cute card utilizing this die, and she did an amazing job on it. I went out and I had to buy the die from the website, and then when I purchased it, I saw them at the Stamp Expo, and they were so kind and said, hey, why don't you take some pattern paper. So I thought it would be fun to create a card utilizing this die, which is these three pieces right here. You have your big piece, and then you have your detail piece, and then your small piece, and utilize it with this, the Hip Hip Hooray collection, which I love. It's bright color. I didn't realize that the Stephanie Bernard Stamps of Life does paper, and it's super, super bright color. I just love it. I thought it was absolutely perfect to go with this die, and they also have avocado toast in here, and I'm like, yes, because my daughter loves avocado toast. So I thought, there we go, I'm going to use that. So I'm going to be making a really cute card today. I'm going to show you how to do it, because as you can tell, this die is not a card base. If you were to cut this, you would get this shape, so you wouldn't have a fold. So I'm going to show you how to do that, and I'm going to be using also some cardstock from cutcardstock.com. This is a really great company. I am on their Instagram inspiration team, but basically it is cardstock, organza ribbon, oh my gosh, they have Nina cardstock, they have journaling pens at a very, very reasonable price. Shipping is not bad. They're fast. They have really great customer service. So go check them out if you're interested in this. For this project, or any card, if you want to create a card base, all you really need is an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. And normally you would slice it down the middle and you would end up with a 5.5 by 8.5 block that you would fold over, and it would give you 4.25 by 5.5 measurement, which is an A2 size. For this project, we actually need to cut it so that it opens up from the top. And so we're still going to use the same measurements, only I'm going to flip it. So instead of cutting it at the 5.5 mark directly down the middle, I am going to cut it at the 4.25 mark, like so. All right, and then I'm just going to set one of these aside for later use or to make another card base from. And then from here, you're just going to take the piece of paper and you are going to fold it. You can score it if you want, but for this particular project, I can fold it and be just fine. Then you are going to line up this first die along the top. You want to make sure that the top does come off of the fold, because that way you will not, or you can, it says place fold here, you can do it that way. I actually go up a little bit farther. I find it easier to line up these corners with my crease line, and then I run it through my die cut machine. When you run it through your die cut machine, you end up with a card that looks like this. And so when you open it up, and I already stamped the inside, you get that. See how awesome that is? So this first piece is ready. Then from here, we need to go ahead and create the decoration on it. So I go ahead and take that same die that I used to create the card, I run it through again, and I create my card front. So I'm going to be decorating this up today. I take this die right here and I run it through with two different pieces of pattern paper. The first one I run through just once because I don't want it to cut all the way through. I just want it to be a nice embossed image. So this particular one I just run through once, and I'm going to ahead and I'm going to just adhere this onto my card front. And I am using my art glitter glue because I find it to just adhere beautifully on this. And I do have the fine tip applicator on it, which is important. It will allow me not to have much waste so I can elongate the life of my product. And I'm going to place this just like this on top here. Now, pardon me. From here, I'm going to take another piece of pattern paper or cardstock, and I'm going to run it through again. Only I'm going to run it through 3 or 4 times because I want these lines to cut so that I am left with a deep etched cut piece like this. From here, I am just going to take my scissors and I'm going to snip off the corner pieces to create my cozy and to create my lid. Perfect. So let's go ahead and adhere that. Before I adhere it though, I do want to run some archival vintage ground espresso, actually it's just ground espresso on the cozy, just to, you know, make it pop a little bit. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to see where those crease lines are. And I am going to line that up perfectly, like so. And just adhere it according to the crease line and the edges. Then I'm going to go ahead and do the same with the top. Now, if you want to make this into a gift card, you are not going to add any adhesive right here, only to this and this. And you're going to keep it thin so you can pop a little gift card under there. All right, or you can do it up here and just leave this empty and then you can pop a gift card on the top. It really is just up to you and your preference on where you want to put a gift card and how you want to use this card. But there is a lot of variation. All right, now from here, you're going to take your circle, which is this the center right here, and there is a little bit of an indentation to let me know where this is going to go. You're going to cut a circle. So I cut a circle off of yellow, and my intention is I want to do a stamped sentiment on here, but this is super busy and white would be super boring. Well, what do? You use vellum. Vellum is amazing. Vellum will allow you to stamp and emboss. You just have to use the right ink. And once you place it on top, it's not as boring as white. It gives a little bit of rest to the eye, so it's not as busy as if you were doing that on a pattern piece of paper. So whenever your card needs a little something something and you don't want a ton of white, always turn to your vellum. And again, you can get the vellum on cutcardstock.com for a really, really reasonable price. So I'm going to go ahead and just center that up right there. And then from here, I'm going to take and stamp this. I'm going to show you how you can emboss and how beautifully it embosses. I'm going to stamp my sentiment on here, but I need to take and dust this with some powder. And what this does is it removes the moisture from the paper and I'll get a nice crisp image. And then I need to use my VersaFine Clear mark because I really, really love how this embosses. Ink up my stamp really well and press down. Now it is vellum, so it will slide. So just make sure you use a firm pressure on top. Okay, so from here I don't want to burn my fingers, so I'm going to take some little tweezers and I'm going to hold it with my tweezers, and then I am going to just add my embossing powder, and then I'm going to heat set it. And as you can see, I just did a quick blow. I don't have any embossing powder where it shouldn't be. So I'm just going to do a quick heat set. All right, a quick tip. If you are using embossing powder and it's blowing everywhere, or it's that super thick kind, what you want to do is you actually don't want to heat it from the side or the top. You actually want to heat it from the bottom. By doing so, it'll allow it to stay on your spot where you want it to be embossed, and it will heat it from the bottom up, starting to adhere. And then once it gets done heating, you can go ahead and flip that gun around and finish it off on the top. Okay, so whenever I am using vellum, this can get tricky. What kind of adhesive do you use? This is my adhesive for vellum. It is Gina K Connect Glue. I do not use this glue for anything else besides vellum. Not because I can't, but because it's so darn expensive that I would go broke if I used it on everything. But this is by far the best for vellum. It doesn't really show through, and it adheres wonderfully. Now I am going ahead and just adding my adhesive on the letters. So even if it does happen to bleed through, you're not really going to see it. But since it is the Gina K glue, it's not going to be a big deal if it bleeds through. But that's if you're using something else, okay? That's a good tip too. I just do it to be safe. All right, and then from there, I'm just gonna pop that down. And I have a cute little card front ready to go on my card base. I do go ahead and add my glue to the card base itself, not my card front, because I do have an overage on this. This top will not be adhering and I don't want to waste my glue up there and make a mess. So I just place it all over my card base. And I like to use glue for this because sometimes my placement is not perfect and I can kind of slide it. Art glitter glue is really nice because it does slide around, but it does set up relatively quickly as well. And then I just kind of flip it over, make sure I have that all lined up, and we are good to go. So now I have a cute little card that I can do a gift card either here, or just give it as a sweet little card to a friend. I certainly hope that you enjoyed this video. If you are not subscribed, I hope that you do so. If you have any questions, please leave them down below. I have provided for you some links in which you can find these products. Not all of the links are affiliated, but the one to scrapbook.com as well as Ink Road Stamps. Ink Road Stamps really isn't affiliated. I do get a little bit of a perk from her in store credit, but the Stamps of Life one, that one is not affiliated. That's just there for your convenience, and the cut card stock as well. Oh, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Until next time, I'm Bets Golden. Happy crafting.